Welcome back to Swimbait TV. This is your host Francesco Di Giovanni. Today we're going to go over again my topwater combos when I go after stripers, large bass, but particularly stripers, and in this case bigger stripers, in the 15 pound to 25 pound plus. So let's start off with the first combination that I like to use, and what I'm using these days is sort of a higher end combination. This is a Leviathan Omega swimbait rod. It is rated 2 to 8 ounces. It is built on an NFC blank. It has double foot guides from butt to tip because that's just what I prefer. It's better, more durable. It might make the rod itself a little bit heavier, but that's what I prefer. It has a nice long swimbait style handle for perfect leverage when you need to make a good long cast. I paired it with a 2018 Shimano Conquest 400. This has been super tuned in the sense that there's high velocity ceramic bearings on the spool to make it spin faster and therefore make longer casts. My line of choice for topwater applications is Suffix 80 pound braid. It's just what I like. It's just what I used for many years. I never broke anything off of it. I run straight 80 pound braid tied to a snap with the San Diego jam knot, and never have any issues. Never break anything off. Never broke a fish off or a bait. However, I only use braid for topwater applications such as punkers, spooks, rats, wake baits, and such. I also like to change the handle on my reel, and I change all my handles to different sizes for different application. On this application, I'm running a 100 millimeter Gomexis handle with just a center knot, as you can see in the camera, with just a center knot without the little screw and the other nut that goes on the original setup. I just like the one nut setup better, and these handles are actually very nice for the money as well. They're for $50 usually you can get yourself a nice beautiful handle that gives you more leverage for fishing swim baits, and in this case for walking the dog. With the right gear ratio, for example on this one I have a 6.3, which translates to a 33 inch per turn of the handle retrieve. I think that this is sort of the sweet spot as far as retrieve speed gear ratio for topwater applications. It helps me really walk the bait easily with a combination of the right rod, the right gear ratio, and the right type of line. Next up, for the budget-minded angler, or what I used to use at the beginning of my stage, this is a Dobbins 867. It is another great swimbait rod. It's 8'6" in length, 8 foot 6 inches. It is very parabolic, just like the Leviathan I showed you, but with the extra 6 inches, just makes it that much more parabolic. It's got great components on it, double foot guides all the way. This makes a great depth 250 rod, but also a great punker rod. It's got the right amount of bend to it. It'll keep a fish pinned on those treble hooks. You won't drop a fish. I had this paired with a Tranx 400. Tranx 400 has also been super tuned, high speed bearings, Gomexis 120 millimeter handle, longer handle on this one because of the higher gear ratio. Well, this one is a 7.9, translates into a 39 inch per turn retrieve, which however is variable. It's not continuously 39 inches. It starts off for, at the end of your cast, beginning of your retrieve, you start off at probably around 33 inches, and then it works its way as it fills the spool. So the fuller your spool, the closer you will be to that 39 inch retrieve. Either way, this is another great combination for tossing punkers, spooks, and such. Also, for something more budget minded, for a reel, there is the Okuma Komodo I like to use the 300 size reel of the Komodo. I had it in the past. It's a great little reel. You just gotta take it apart and literally wipe off all the extra grease that it's on the bearings, clean the bearings off, and then just run some very thin bearing oil. And that reel will also cast miles. It's got a great drag system, very durable gears, and it's for the budget-minded angler. Okuma also makes a great series of swim bait rods that you can use as a punker rod. They have the brand new Okuma swim bait series. They're custom swim bait guy select. Those rods can fill in all the blanks for every application out there for stripers. They're nice and beefy, great components, Fuji guides, and they're a great price for the budget minded. Ultimately, what you're looking for in a reel is a reel that has good guts and a good ratio of retrieve. You don't want something too slow, but you don't want something too fast. Too fast, you're gonna have to use a lot of rod input. The faster the gear ratio, the more rod movement you're doing, and you're just using the reel to pick up line. I like a little bit of in between. I like to use a little bit of both. Reel, line retrieve, and rod twitch at the same time to impart the walk the dog motion that I give the baits I use. Speaking of the baits I use, that depends on the situation. So let's say it's just a normal day and I'm going out to target stripers. The waters I'm fishing are full of stocked rainbow trout. So that's what the stripers are going after. The rainbow trout, let's say they average anywhere between 8 inches to 12, 14 inches, depending on what they're stocking. So on the lower end of the spectrum, for an 8-inch offering, I would just do a lunker punker. This is the 8-incher. Not the best aerodynamically shaped bait for long distance, but this will get out there as well. I like to mention that all the information I'm giving here, it's not just for the guy that's fishing on the boat, but also for the person that is locked on the shoreline fishing. You want to get yourself a topwater setup that can achieve long distance. And the components I just mentioned as far as rods and reels are put together for long distance. If you have the right body movements combined with the right equipment in the right hands, you will be able to cast the baits I'm going to show you now a mile across the way, even if you're shore bound. So another offering that I like in the 8-inch range, it's actually one of my own. This is something that I make. It is not available to the public yet. I like making baits for myself. Eventually, when I get around it, I'll make them for everybody who wants one. But this is just basically a giant Zara Spook style bait. It is wired with a stainless steel wire through the body, and I have a moving 350-pound barrel swivel, size 4X hooks, and this here is built to cast a mile. Okay, so this is another great little bait. It's only 8.5 inches, so you can use it when there's large trout out there. You can use it when there's smaller trout. You could actually use it when they're just any type of bait fish this size feeding on topwater. This actually just glides right over the surface, walks real easy, slow, fast, however you prefer it. When you need a larger offering, something you might want to look at is also a fin bait custom. He makes a couple of different sizes. The Grandpa, the Uncle Joe, this is one of the first ones he made. It's about 5 years old, and I had it repainted once and doesn't miss a beat. Very durable bait, very well built. This is about 12 inches. I would probably say about 5-6 ounces, and I can get this out there probably 60 to 80 yards. Not for the people that have seen me cast, they know. And anybody can do that if you put the right body motions to work with the right equipment. There's times that fish are really keyed in on the larger baits. Maybe there's larger stripers around, so you might want something a little extra big. I make something like that myself. Again, this is not available to anyone but me yet, but there's other builders that make plugs this big, but this is a 14-inch glider. Again, it's wired through, and I've done a lot of damage with this bait as well that I just made out of my garage. Next up, when the fish are feeding on smaller baits, such as real small shad, 5-6 inch shad. So we have a small IMA pencil popper. I mean, this simple, it's got a little rattle, gets their attention, made to be fast retrieved, casts out there on a light setup like a bullet. Super Strike little neck popper. This is something from my surf casting days. When I first started fishing, I was a surf caster for many years on the New England shores, the Cape Cod Canal, and this was one of my go-tos, and it still is. It is a chugging popper. It's got sort of a small rattle in there, but not much. It's very subtle movement, or just the weight that's built in there. However, this is perfect for imitating small baits anywhere from the East Coast to the West Coast and anywhere in between. Saltwater, freshwater, all applications, all takers. This will catch fish sometimes where nothing else will on the surface. And then I also like to use large multi-jointed baits. Sometimes, they will not like the walk the dog offering, so give them something different to look at. There's a 12-inch triple trout, and this is a floating version. So you can throw this at feeding stripers and just literally just a burn and stop retrieve. Burn, stop, burn, stop, burn, stop, burn, stop. Just all that clacking, that sound, that commotion will resemble a fleeing trout. Great bait to add to your arsenal. You can find it in a used market for relatively cheap. Another one I like is a two-faced Jesus trout. This is an 11-inch monster. I mean, it is really like a nice beefy little stalker trout. This is an extra slow sink, so it will swim right, creating a wake right below, just below the surface. You might get a little further down with different hooks, but you can use this one all day long. Some of these baits that I showed you are made for target of opportunities. Some are made to be fished all day long. This one, for example, you could throw it on your regular swim bait setup and just toss it around as you're drifting through the coast, or to the shore, through the downriver, whatever it is you're fishing. I like to always have a rod ready on the boat with something tied on like this one, whether it's going to be an 8-inch punker, 10-inch punker, or a monster like this one, depending on what's in the water. I like to have a rod ready to go with this bait tied on. You will understand why when I showed you the demonstration videos coming up on the segment, where you always have a topwater rod ready, because you'll never know when those fish might come up to the surface to feed. You want to be ready to launch one of these at them. This is why you need a long distance setup. You don't want to turn your boat on. If they're reachable without turning the boat on, without spooking them, this is how you get to these fish, these true giants that come up to feed on a 2-pound trout. You gotta stay focused, launch, always have a ready rod, always have a ready to go rod with this, something like this, a tonker, fin bait custom, whatever floats your boat, a topwater bait. Okay, because when the time comes, that's your opportunity to latch onto a 20+ pound striper the easy way, and a very spectacular way, because to watch one of these stripers blow up on one of these baits, it is something spectacular. I will have more to talk about in the next videos coming up in the future. For now, this is it. If you like, subscribe, like the video, share with friends. Stay tuned, do not turn off, because there is 2 videos I like to check out. One is a cast to catch that shows you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm fishing a swim bait, and the next thing I know, there's a fish blowing up to my left, and it gets my attention. I drop what I'm doing, I get the topwater rod, and I go after it, and bang, hook up, cast to catch. The video after that is actually me fishing one of my homemade baits. And again, I see fish breaking in the distance. I cast, I reach them, Fish blows up on it, it's hooked up, and unfortunately I dropped them right at the boat. But it's actually a good video, a good example to show you when and how to use these types of baits for big stripers. Thank you, and continue to watch.